and welcome to a special live edition of the February Part 2 episode of the Wise Guy Sports Show here on the Big Weekend on Sports podcast. I am one of your hosts for the evening, the Big Weekend on Sports, and my co-host, as always, Mr. JC Bluenote, who has on the championship gear. Yes, Rams house. And if you listen... Mine. Anyway. I got to tell you, 1 point. I was away 1 point from having the final.
Yeah, it's we're gonna go over the prop bets from that show, and you actually get a bonus point for that. Mike's actually having some technical difficulties. He'll be back with us here in just a quick moment. Tonight, we're actually going to talk a little bit of the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to talk the NBA. We're going to talk the baseball labor strike. We'll touch a little bit on the Super Bowl. And it looks like Mike is on his way back in, and there he is.
You know what it is? It's on the edge of my bed. So if I push down, it all comes with me. Let me just make sure the audio is in the right spot. Yeah, okay.
Well, I built for 15 seconds, so.
No, I heard you. Listen, the audio's going through these. So I don't disturb anybody else in the house. Steph's got Bobby out in the living room. My mother-in-law's in her room next door. I want to give a special shout out to my son, Zach, who is actually in New York City right now at indoor track state qualifiers. So hopefully we're I don't know where he got the running from. Definitely not from me. Sorry. So
if it was like discus or shot put with the arm strength and everything, that I could see.
Not me. Anyways, let's go back a couple weeks. Let's talk to Super Bowl real quick. You had called a blowout, which shocked me then. Were you nervous after the blatant defensive pass or offensive pass interference that didn't get called?
I'm going to admit, as Mr. Rams fan, going back to when they were in LA the first time that we covered, and if you bring that name up again, this will be the last Wise Guy Sports Show.
I bet you I will.
after that non-call, and then when Burrow got pushed into the sideline, albeit legally, by Aaron Donald going to the boundary early in the third quarter, and then proceeded to get punched in the face by two Bengals that weren't called in front of 137 TV cameras. I actually shut the game off for an hour. I couldn't actually stomach it. I had the real time, like the ESPN streaming and play-by-play kind of going, but it's the actual TV. I just shut it off for a little bit.
Yeah, I actually watched every snap. Of course, I watched the first half for the commercials and the concert, which was really good, actually, by the way.
Who was your commercial champion?
GM.
I got to go, and I've got a very, very soft spot in my heart for this individual, but I thought the Anna Kendrick mortgage commercial blew it out of the park.
It did, especially with the fixer-upper across the street.
Yes.
Did you notice what that was?
Yes.
I lost my mind because no one else in my house knew what it was. I'm sitting there going, it's Castle Grayskull.
And I love me some Anna Kendrick. I'm sorry. We were just talking before we went on air that like Jessica Chastain can do no wrong. She's up on a pedestal. Anna Kendrick is like off camera for me.
Really?
Yes. It's I think she's one of the most underrated, funniest people in the movie and television industry. Her movies are, say with what you want about, the Pitch Perfects and everything. Her being in the Twilight movies. At least the first few prominently.
She's hysterical in those, by the way.
She is. It's a vastly, vastly underrated movie with her and Blake Lively called A Simple Favor. Yep. I thought was phenomenal. I still have gotten only about halfway through Stowaway, the Netflix movie she did last year. That's actually on my list to actually try and finish up tomorrow. But I love me some Anna Kendrick.
Here's one with her that I think you'll enjoy then. Up in the Air. Her, George Clooney, Vera Farmiga.
From what I've heard, yes. I just never got around to it.
Clooney said she was the best part of the film.
I always you and me as an Islander fan and you as a New Yorker can also appreciate this. Remember a couple of years ago where Anthony Beauvillier of the Islanders that took over Twitter with like shooting his shot and then everybody jumps on his back. It's like, hey Anthony, thank you for lending me your helicopter. Only after you rescued that entire orphanage from burning to the ground, and it spiraled out of control. It was hilarious.
And the end of the third Pitch Perfect when they do.
I have not seen yet.
Oh, I'll send you the clip of the final song. She uses her voice on repeater.
That's also on the short list.
Yeah, she uses her voice on a repeater. And does Freedom 90 by George Michael. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So, yeah, I like the Anna Kendrick, but I'm a big Austin Powers guy. So, and shout out to Rob Lowe for reprising his role as number 2. I'm a little upset Seth Green's hair was not gone like at the end of Goldmember. That bothered me a little bit. Not going to lie.
Why? Because you wanted to be twins?
Easy, Chris. Yeah, but anyway. No, that was it. But I got to tell you, I got to give credit where credit's due to your Rams and to Matthew Stafford. What a drive at the end of the game. Absolutely. What an absolute phenomenal drive. And look what happened.
Let's take it a step further, the entire fourth quarter.
Exactly, but let's take it a step further than that. After halftime, after the offensive pass interference wasn't called, that Rams D line took over.
Yeah, did you see I'm not sure if you did, but did you see the extended cut of everyone mic'd up on YouTube?
I haven't seen that yet. I gotta be honest with you.
It's about 40 minutes. It's about 45 minutes. Give yourself some time. It's everyone. It's Joe Burrow. It's the Rams sideline. It's McVay. It's Stafford. It's Whitworth. It's Donald. But it's phenomenal. It's and McVay is even on the missed OPI. He's even like running over to the refs saying, everyone here saw it. You saw it. Where's the call? And then he's basically just telling his team, move on from it. And then he even called Aaron Donald is going to make a play on the final drive.
And he needed to, and he did. And that's the way the big time players step up. I will say this though: Sean McVay would not be in his second Super Bowl if not for another egregiously missed call, and we both know that.
That is true. Yes.
So, not that we're playing tit for tat here, but they did get a gift on that a defensive hold. So it kind of evens it out. But listen, hats off to the Rams. They made the plays they needed to win that game.
Although Jalen Ramsey's new nickname is going to be Ghost.
He is terrible.
Yeah. I don't ever want to hear another Browns fan rip, and I'm guilty of this. It's of saying Denzel Ward's nickname should be Toast for as many big plays as he gives up to number ones. It's in
comparison to what Jalen Ramsey has gone through in the last few weeks.
Yes. Yeah, Ramsey got exposed. They won that game. They won that game in spite of him, not because of him.
Agreed. No, they won that game because their quarter, for all the years in Detroit, he stepped up, man, and he played phenomenal. So let's go forward a couple weeks and let's talk about All-Star Weekend in Cleveland. I watched the celebrity game. I watched Myles Garrett try to end MGK's life. Dude, when he went up to dunk on him like that, I started laughing, and all I heard in my head was Eminem's Kill Shot. Because I'm like, oh my God, Myles is going to do what M couldn't and end this man. But the block on Quavo was better.
See, I didn't actually catch much of the celebrity game. I didn't catch much of the I saw the 3-point. I actually still have not watched the slam dunk.
Don't.
I did see the skills challenge. And I saw like the intros and the all 75 introductions. I predominantly stayed away from the All-Star game itself.
Well, the only All-Star game that's an actual game is baseball. Let's be honest. The Pro Bowl and the NFL, or not the Pro
The
Bowl,
NHL All-Star game's a little quite fun, though.
What I was going to say, and maybe it's because I haven't watched the NHL All-Star game in years, but it just seems to me that baseball is the only one that has an actual All-Star game where they play.
Right.
They have to play an actual game. The Pro Bowl is a joke.
Because there's no real way to half-ass playing baseball. You're not going to sit out there and loft up, 75 mile an hour meatballs, all
because the game will never end.
Exactly. At least I will actually say this: you as a baseball fan are going to actually, give props to that, and I'll give that to you because again, it is the only legitimate game out there.
Yes.
But I think the NHL's got the most intriguing and fun way of doing it by running 3-on-3 and making a tournament out of it.
No, I think that's a really good idea too. I actually caught some of that. I think it was last year I noticed that that they had done that. But I loved the fact that the Cavs won the skills challenge. But going back to Myles, okay, so it was at Wallstein, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He threw it in the fourth row.
That I did see.
And he was up. I mean, he's a freaking freak. And by the way, Justin Bibb can play.
Yes.
The new mayor of Cleveland can play.
Yeah. It's he was on the radio shows. He was doing the routine the morning of saying that he played some high school ball. He could have played some college, and then I think he had some injuries to where he couldn't anymore. But yeah, he could play.
Yeah, he looked good. I was impressed with the high jumper. The Italian high jumper set the world record. He was dunking on dudes.
Yep.
Nice to see Kareem Hunt out there at home. But let's go to the introductions of the All-Star teams. And let's go to how I love that they put the two boys, as far as active players, the two boys from Cleveland were up first. With Jared Allen and Darius Garland. I will say this. I have been to a Cavs game when LeBron was there. One of my favorite introductions of all time is the from St. Vincent St. Mary High School.
Yes.
I'm a little upset Ahmad didn't do that. I'm a little upset that the guy said all weekend that he wasn't a Laker All-Star. He was Cleveland's third All-Star.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, you also got to do the same thing for Seth Curry, who also went to, who grew up and went to high school in Northeast Ohio in the Akron area as well. And
I understand that.
And still, he cost the city 3 championships, so they were going to boo him out of the building either way.
Oh, no, and I agree with you. Steph Curry should be booed everywhere he goes, including – dude, after the skills competition, they did a mock-up of his new game show with his wife on – it was horrible. I turned it off. I watched a 3-point contest and a dunk contest. I wanted to burn my eyes out.
Yeah, which is strange because usually those are the highlights of the weekend.
Exactly, and I don't pay attention to the game because it's not a game. It's, although LeBron hit that shot to win it at the end, that was kind of cool. So what was your take on him? All the Cleveland love from him this weekend.
He comes home for one day a year as a member of the opposition. It's, I mean, he's still got the city a championship. He's still the greatest player in the history of the franchise. The day he retires, his number's going up to the rafters.
Yep.
There's no way in absolute hell that him and his kid are going to be playing at the same time on this franchise if Dan Gilbert, Kobe Altman, and new GM Mike Gansey have half a brain in their head. I have no problem with the love. He's an all-star. He's from here. He's never made, even leaving twice, he's never made any qualms about not being proud that he's from the area. Granted, it was a business decision both times. The first time it was basically college for him, going down to South Beach, and now he got his title. He came home. He did the right thing. He made amends. He got all the he got all the adoration that was deserved. He backed up every promise that he made. In 2015 when he came home, that summer. But really, that's kind of where you got to draw the line anymore. It's
as nostalgic as it would be, and I'm a nostalgic guy, for him to come back and have his final. And I've always said I think he should have his final season in Cleveland. You started here. You left a great situation in Miami to come home for one reason, and you brought the title home. I've always thought his final season should be in Cleveland. Now that he's talking about he will play his final season where Bronny is, I don't want the circus.
Exactly, and who's to say that his kid is actually going to be good enough? I mean, if he wants to play with his kid, are they going to be playing over in China?
Well, I don't think they'll play in China. I think the minute he said that his final season will be with his son, there are NBA teams going, yeah, well, we have to draft him.
Which he'll play, 2 games, and then basically his kid will sit in the G League for a few years?
I don't know. Bronny's pretty good. He's a good on-the-ball defender. He's got a better jump shot than his old man did at this age. He's got basketball IQ for this age. And I'm sure that's, when the guy who may have the best basketball IQ we've ever seen, as far as being a floor general, as Mike Greenberg once said, LeBron James was put on this earth to be the biggest and best point guard in the history of basketball. He probably could have been had he been a point guard his entire career. Yeah,
but LBJ was a man amongst boys at 17 years old.
Yeah.
His kid's not going to be that.
No, his kid's not going to be that, but I don't think with the way LeBron has raised him, I don't think he needs to be. Think about it. It's no secret that his contract with the Cavs was long enough to get him to Bronny being a freshman in high school. And then he beat feet so fast it wasn't even funny, because how would you like to walk the halls of St. V's as LeBron James Jr.? Your daddy's jersey's hanging on the wall.
Right.
So I never had an issue with when he left the second time.
I have not told this story on this show as yet, but I don't even know if I told you this story. But one
story
of
time.
It's story time with JC Blue Note, baby. Sorry, Adam Cole. It's next time I'm actually wearing the Adam Cole shirt.
Oh God.
My greatest claim to fame was I got to interview Michael his last game against the Cavs here.
Really?
When he was with the Wizards. There were over 120 press passes given out that night, and I was the only amateur reporter given access because of my relationship with the Cleveland Barons, who were the minor league hockey team.
I remember those guys.
Yeah, we asked for it, and the Cavs actually said no. And then our PR guys, our contacts within the Barons said, you need to let this kid in. Well, we were going to have a couple of photographers and everything, but they overbooked and they said, sorry, if you want to bring photographers, you got to bring your own camera. We don't have any more press passes. We got nowhere to seat these people. As a matter of fact, I was actually sitting in the aisle because there were no seats left in press row up in the corner. They actually even told me, had I gotten there like maybe an hour before, I probably could have shot around with Michael on the floor before the game. Well, they actually had to let us into, for the flood of the people out in the hallway, they actually had to stick some of us into, like, they had to evacuate some of the cheerleaders out and like have us go into that locker room for a little bit until, there was enough time for people to get in. Well, here I am, 23, 24 years old, and, Patrick Ewing's walking by, Charles Oakley's walking by, and all of a sudden, Oakley, of all people, puts his hand on my shoulder and says, "Who let the new kid in?" And everyone starts laughing. And I just look up and I'm like, "Thanks, Oak. Thanks a lot." It's so little moment there. 17-year-old LeBron James walks past us. Was still a senior at SVSM. Tony Rizzo, of all people, longtime Cleveland sports talk, legend.
I miss Rizzo.
Yeah.
His partner, not so much.
And former NFL sideline reporter for Fox, leans right over and he says, "Kid, make this as a memento. That is the only time he is ever going to walk past us, and we are not going to put a microphone in his face." And he was right.
Yeah. I got a little Charles Oakley story for you, too. Our good buddy Nick Credes. You remember Nick?
Yep.
Jason's cousin? Nick was working for Stevens. Now somebody else has purchased it. He's still working there. They're the ones who cleaned the queue out when you went from the finals to the RNC that year. So he reports to work the morning of the parade. And his boss comes in and goes, "What are you doing? Go to the parade." So they go outside, and he sees a couple guys down the street giving out T-shirts. So he goes running off to get one. Well, as he gets closer, he realizes it's Shannon Sharpe and Charles Oakley. Because if you remember, Shannon Sharpe said he was going to be in Cleveland for the parade when they won.
Yes.
Well, he gets close. They don't have any left. Say hello to him. They're talking. And Nick goes, "Yo, Oak, I hear Chuck's at the airport. You want to go pick him up?" Explicative, Barkley. He turns around. Shannon Sharpe's laughing so hard he can't breathe. Nick has a picture of Shannon Sharpe doing one of these, and Oakley won't look at him. He called me that day. It's like, "You will never believe what I just did."
Gotta love Oak.
Oh, he's great. I still wish he would have gotten a chance to beat up Dolan.
You and like 95% of the country.
And 100% of Knicks fans.
Right.
Let me tell you this. My opinion on, like I said, I don't want the circus of LeBron, but I would like to see him play one more season with the Cavaliers.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the season we never got. Brady even signed a one-day contract with New England before he retired. I assume Matthew Stafford will end up doing the same thing with Detroit. No disrespect to your Rams. But I would love to see. I think we got screwed out of it with Michael because Michael didn't go back to the Bulls.
Right.
I would love to see one more season. So let's segue into our Cavaliers from there, and we'll talk about the other thing at the end of the show. The injury bug, the injury bugs hit a little bit here.
They have no backcourt right now.
Well, yeah, I saw Garland and LeVert are both hurt. Of course, no Ricky Rubio for the rest of the season, and no Colin Sexton for the rest of the season.
And no Rajon Rondo.
And Rondo's hurt too.
Yeah.
Is Lauri Markkanen back?
Markkanen did actually return the other night against Detroit. The good news is, I don't know if this is breaking news or not, but Mike Gansey went on Carmen and Lima, the morning show on 92.3 FM Sports Talk here in Cleveland, and actually did say that Garland's back issue is actually a bone bruise.
Ooh.
So, and there's really nothing that you can do. It's like bruised ribs. You just have to let it heal. So that's why he's day to day for so long. It's I'm actually going to be at Monday night's game against the Timber Puppies. It's the same seats as last time, right behind the backboard and everything. But it's like, who's going to be out there at this point? It's like Levert's out 2 weeks, Rondo's out 1 to 2 weeks, Garland's day to day. Sexton, you may not get. Sexton, there's a possibility you might get back in April.
Now, listen, I know a guy that I'd like to see in a Cavs uniform. It's playing in the Australian League right now. But, from my lips to the new GM's ears.
He won't come back. I know who you're talking about. He won't come back.
I miss him.
Everybody does. But honestly, you need somebody who's going to be able to fill it up. He hasn't played in this league in almost 3 years, and he's not. He's a facilitator. They need scorers right now. Any one of those guys that we just named can actually give you, 15 to 20 a night.
No, I know. So, have they hit a part of their schedule where they can afford the injuries? They can win a few of these games?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I'll cut you off right there. I'll cut you off right there. They got 23 left, 14 at home, 9 on the road. 17 of those are against teams currently in playoff positions, and that's including play-in tournament.
Yeah, they need to get healthy.
They're only 3.5 back of Chicago for tops in the East and the division, but they're only 2.5 up from being in that play-in tourney right now.
Yeah, the East is a giant jumble right now.
Yeah. And the fact that they got beat by Detroit, even shorthanded, they are 1-2 against Detroit, one of the worst teams in all of basketball. I'm sorry. Even as depleted as you are, you can't lose those games.
I'm with you, but there are certain teams that just have your number at times. If you look at the Mets, the Montreal Expos / Washington Nationals, the Marlins, the flipping Marlins, they just have their number. Look at Tampa Bay years ago before they got to be a powerhouse like they are. They always had the Yankees number. They always played them tough.
Right. Look at our Indians. It's always been Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Haven't adjusted to the new name yet, have you?
Oh, Freudian slip. Sorry.
Listen, we don't know with the new name.
Well, technically, we're actually, since they haven't officially had a game yet, and we're going to get to that in a minute. They're still the Indians in terms because the Cleveland Guardians have never played the Minnesota Twins yet.
That's very true. You should have been a lawyer. Have you ever seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
That's the one with Johnny Depp, right?
Yeah.
That was a very good friend of mine. That's her all-time favorite movie. That is the only that I think that might be the fastest I've ever turned a movie off. I got 10 minutes in, said, "Is this the dumbest thing I've ever seen? I'm not going to sit here through a drug-infested or whatever for 2.5 hours," and I shut it off.
John Rice is watching. He just said, "Love that movie." Hold on. Me too, bud. Me too. Benicio del Toro should have won an Oscar for this film. Just as your attorney, I advise you to take the green pill. Fell off the couch first time I heard that.
Also, I think we established on a previous episode, I can't stand Johnny Depp.
Why?
I haven't liked Johnny Depp since 21 Jump Street. There's just something about him.
That's just not fair. It's like me with Will Ferrell, though.
Yeah. There's only so much Will Ferrell you can take,
And mine ended when he was doing the cheerleading skit on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. It's I will, probably I'll say the only movies I actually of Will Ferrell that I can tolerate are Talladega Nights and Wedding Crashers, and it's not because of him. He just happens to be in it.
Wedding Crashers may be one of the top 10 comedies of all time.
Yes.
And not for anything other than Bradley Cooper goes so off the rails in that movie.
And it's funny going back and watching that movie now and just thinking Academy Award winner. It's Favreau, Owen Wilson, Rachel McAdams, Isla Fisher is like Mrs. Borat now.
Mm-hmm. I think she was then too.
I don't exactly remember. I had a thing for Isla Fisher way back when as well too. Before I knew that, and it just ruined my whole image of her.
Yeah.
I loved her in what was the Ryan Reynolds movie? The one with him and Elizabeth Banks and Definitely Maybe.
Never saw it.
Sorry, I'll take chick flicks. It gives hope to a guy who's been single as long as I have.
Oh God. Anyway, so what's the next 10 look like for them?
Let me pull that up. And right now they are down 6 with about a minute to go in the half. Make that 4. Chetty's got 10 right now to lead. Their next 10 out after tonight. It is loading the schedule now. Home to Minnesota Monday. Home to Charlotte. At Philly. Home to Toronto. Then 3 on the road against Indy, Miami, Chicago. And then I'm going to go a little bit past the next 10. Then they get a nice little 5-game homestand, but this is like almost a murderer's row. The Clippers, Sixers, Nuggets, Pistons, Lakers.
They win 4 of those games. If they're healthy, they can beat the Lakers. The Clippers are a joke. They probably lose to Detroit because Detroit's got their number.
Yeah, but you figure they'll probably have most of these guys back and healthy by then.
If they can get to that, if they can get what's that 12 games you just gave me?
Yeah, 10, 12, somewhere in there.
Get to that one 4-3. Get to that 5-game run 4-3, and you can still do some damage because you got Chicago in there. You have quality teams from the West you can play. You still got Milwaukee in there, and Philly.
Yeah, they've only got one. They only have one more matchup against Milwaukee, and that's the season finale right now.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Milwaukee before.
No, it's at Minnesota, Charlotte, Philly, Toronto, Indy, Miami, Chicago, Clippers, Philly, Denver, Detroit, Lakers.
I must have heard Denver and Milwaukee and mixed them up.
And I tell you what, Denver's a damn good ball club this year, too.
Listen, Joker's nasty. Joker's nasty. I mean, it's just... He's off the chart. He won the MVP for a reason last year.
Right.
So if they end up, if the East were to end today, they're the 3, right?
I want to say that they're the 4, maybe the 5. I'm pulling up the standings now. As it stands.
Yeah, they're the 5.
Now, yeah, they are the 5. By the skin of their teeth, they're the 5. Which means they'd have to play the world champions in the first round.
They get Milwaukee.
Yeah, which is why, and Milwaukee's playing Brooklyn right now, so this actually helps. If they can actually come back and beat the Wizards, and then Brooklyn beats Milwaukee, the Cavs actually would move up to barring what Miami and Chicago. Well, Miami right now is in a dogfight with San Antonio, and Chicago is down 12 to Memphis. So if the Cavs win, they can actually close to 2.5, and they would actually vault up to basically a mathematical tie for 3rd. They would leapfrog Milwaukee if Brooklyn wins that game tonight.
Listen, they need to leapfrog Milwaukee. They've got to get. They can't get Milwaukee unless they have home court.
Right.
If you're going to play the champs and play Giannis in the postseason, you've got to have home court. So they've got to start winning.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
It's just, last year with basketball, it was, and even the early part of the season, it was everybody got the COVID bug. Now that teams aren't really getting the COVID bug, now it's the injury bug. But the problem is that it's not spread out with the Cavs. It's not like you're getting a couple of guys in the front court and a couple of guys in the back court. You're getting everybody in the back court right now.
No, I agree with you, and that's tough. And we all know injuries are part of it, but when you get snake bitten like this, you're like, okay, what now? I can't tell you the last time I had vitamin water.
It's really all I drink anymore. This and like Arnold Palmer. I went out to dinner the other night. It's the first time I've actually had a pop in a month.
Oh, you said it.
Pop.
Soda.
Pop.
Soda. You forget.
I haven't shaved, so I'm a little irritated right now.
You forget. I am from east of the line of demarcation. Listen, Rice, I don't care what you say. It's my word. You just said the word.
It's the wrong word, but
where I am ingrained. And by the way, moving to Cleveland is why I call it by its name, where it's Coke, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew. It's not, can I have soda? It's, I need this. All right, last thing about the Cavaliers. You get to the playoffs. You get Sexton back. You bring in Young Bull off the bench, or are you putting the backcourt back together that you started the season with?
You have to bring him in off the bench. You have to, because if you're completely healthy, he went out 3 games into the year, and then they played this well without him. So you don't immediately thrust him back in. You actually you stay with what got you to the dance. You run LeVert and Garland, and then up front you run Lowry, Jared, and Evan. And then you rotate in Kevin and Goodwin and Chetty and Sexton. And I'm not saying that in any particular order, but you definitely bring Sexton off the bench, because at that point, even if he comes back before the end of the regular season, he's going to have maybe 3 games, 5 at the most, after sitting for the last 7 months.
Yeah. Who's the odd man out in the rotation? Or can Bickerstaff rotate this team to where they can get everybody in and get the contributions they've been getting the whole time?
That's tough, because, the way that everyone contributes right now, you're not going to phase out LeVert. You're not going to phase out any of the 4 guys I just mentioned. You can't really phase them out. You've got Windler and Goodwin, who can actually, who will be playing with the G League, and then, God forbid something happens, you actually can have them there but not dressed. So at least this way they could be on the postseason roster if you run into a pinch. But I mean, if you're looking at it, the guys who would actually be odd men out are guys who are really towards that 9 to 12 men in the rotation to begin with at that point, because of how deep you are once everybody's back healthy in the next few weeks. Yeah,
because I remember in the playoff runs from a few years ago, and I have on actually the wrong side, the 2018 finals hat. I have the championship hat back there. I just don't like snapbacks. I think it's stupid on my head.
Yeah, plus also it said I've never liked snapbacks, just because after a while they'll rip out. I mean, these are like the only caps that I wear, those dad caps, just because they're like already broken in and they're so friggin' comfortable.
I get the stretchy ones like you got me with the Big Rican hat.
Yeah, although I actually found I found that they don't hang very well. At least these I can like throw right over a hanger or something.
I have the thing on the back of my door. My wife got me that even the fitted ones fit great in them.
Yeah, I don't have that luxury, but I did actually find something else that it goes over the bottom rung of a coat hanger, and then it's got like clips on them, so you can put 10 of them.
Yeah. because I remember with the LeBron rotations, they got shorter, and you had the guys playing in more minutes and different situations. Bickerstaff's got such a deep roster that he doesn't need to worry about that stuff.
Exactly. You don't need to thin the roster to where you're guaranteeing time for a Dylan Windler and Ed Davis, because everyone's minutes are going to end up getting longer because the game's going to get stretched out that much more.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just hope that listen, I think they can get to the conference finals. I really do. But they cannot get Milwaukee till that conference finals. And you got to hope that Milwaukee's played some long series between that so you can tire them out. Because if the Cavs can run that rotation that deep, they're going to have fresh legs going into the conference finals.
Right.
And that's going to be humongous. Last question. Are you maxing Garland out soon?
I would like to, but I think right now you've also got to focus in on you got to figure out what you're going to do with Sexton, and then you also got to figure out how long and what kind of money that you're going to end up extending Kevin Love for right now. So I would actually want to get them done before Sexton, because you still have Sexton locked up for another year with the club option.
Yeah.
So it's the Baker Mayfield conundrum. It's, he'd be playing for a contract next year because you hold his rights, and then you can actually figure out what you're going to do with that. But it's, let's also see, how the rest of this season goes as well. And then, let's also take a look into the early part of next year to make sure it's not like it's not Brown syndrome where you had that one great year, that magical run, and then the bottom falls out the early part of next season.
No, I agree with you. I just didn't know if it was time to start discussing an extension for Darius Garland like we would discuss for anybody else.
I think it's got to be something between Kobe Altman and Mike Gansey. It's got to be on their short list. But I mean, right now they've got so many other things, to worry about. And Garland ain't going to go anywhere. You're going to get him signed. It's just all a matter of how much, how long. But you actually got to make sure the other pieces and parts around him are all set up as well or moved to where they need to be.
No, you're absolutely right. So speaking of things needing to go right, as you know, last night I put out my open-ended letter to Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred. Yes, I probably, if I did a not suitable for kids show, would have gone a lot different route than what I did.
We still need a director's cut.
Let's put it this way. If we had a director's cut.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you on Facebook yesterday morning when I was at work? It needs to be Big Rican After Dark.
Yeah, well, this is getting real dark.
Especially with the reports that came out, about 2 hours ago?
Yeah,
we'll get into that here in a second.
I'm ready to kill someone. Yeah, John, if you're in on that, let's go. We're going to Florida. We're going to beat Rob Manfred about the face. We're going to kick his social distance teeth out of his mouth. Anyway,
and yet we just finished football season. We're already talking about gaps in somebody's tooth where we want to kick field goals. I thought that was reserved for Michael Strahan. I guess we can add another to the list.
This dude, he was a labor negotiator. Are you kidding me?
You know what? It used to be where the NBA, in terms of you look at the four commissioners between football, baseball, basketball, hockey, the NBA and Major League Baseball, they weren't the greatest, but they were the most stable. You say what you wanted to about Bud Selig, but it's he was bad, but he wasn't the worst on the list. I always thought that Gary Bettman in the NHL was the worst. Now, unequivocally, we've got our answer.
Yeah. Man, I thought Goodell was a power-crazed moron.
You realize, and I just thought of this, and, you take this with a grain of salt, Granted, 2 years ago, it was because of COVID and they actually started everything late, but you also realize now this is going to be 2 out of the last 3 years that the baseball season is not going to start until probably at this rate after tax day, if not into May.
I caught this baseball in Cleveland 6 years ago. Curtis Granderson hit it. It was during batting practice. I was in right field. My sister was standing behind me. If I didn't catch this myself, it's got Manfred's signature on it. I'd burn it.
Or a lot of whiteout or paint.
Oh, by the way, did you know Major League Baseball batting practice balls are stamped practice?
Yes.
I found that to be odd.
You know, the other funny thing is that I actually I have like my TV cabinet, I have like little things on display. So I've got like the Baker Mayfield pop figure, but I've also got like, you know, authentic game pucks from, hang on 1 second.
To all those watching, I think Jim's going to get a game-used hockey puck.
Nope.
Baker!
I saw it. I had to, but it's like I've got, you know, authentic game pucks from, now granted they weren't used, but it's, you know, the ones that like you buy in the display case and everything for the Blues, the Islanders, the Winnipeg Jets, and the Sabres, the 4 teams I follow. Well, I was actually thinking baseball actually has replica balls. They're like stitched a little differently, but they're actual MLB, almost like batting practice balls, and they put like the team logo on them. And I'm thinking of like ordering a few of those because of how different wound they are. They actually said that these are not meant to be played with. They're only meant to be displayed. And it's like, so what you're saying about the BP balls, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Here's one that a lot of people don't know. My cousin Patrick has one. It's a baseball. It was supposed to be game used. It was never used.
And I think Michael dropped his camera again.
And we're back. I don't know why that just did that. Baker!
I can actually talk. I was going to actually do the next 5 minutes or something, just ad-libbing Progressive commercials.
You know what? That would be fun.
I want him to come back just because I want to see those commercials continue for a little while.
Yes, Big Rican on pause, John. Yeah, we'll give Rice his moment.
That is the first live comments we've ever actually had on this show, going on what now, 7-8 months?
Well, it's not the first live comments. My daughter's commented, but she's always been like, "Hi, Dad."
Well, that's actually the first one I've actually seen come across the screen, so that's really cool.
I can pick which ones to do. Yes, hold on. We got to do this. So do we. It's but going back to my episode, what were your thoughts on my message overall?
Couple of things, one honest and another one kind of tongue-in-cheek. The honest thing was, Mike, tell me how you really felt. And then from being a little tongue-in-cheek to quote Wayne Campbell, excellent.
Thank you.
Game on. Actually, at this point where you're hoping for game on.
And I felt I had to bring out the James Earl Jones quote from Field of Dreams. Because this sport has only been canceled for two things: world wars and their own stupidity.
Yes.
And we're at the own stupidity portion of this. So from what I understand, what I read quick, apparently the owners have pissed off the players even worse now.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't read the full story, but yeah, it's so now they're not 100% sure with where this is going. It's the deadline is Monday, and they've all signs are reading like they're walking away.
They're going to be there tomorrow, but here's my problem with it.
Yeah, I just went back to ESPN's homepage, and they literally just put the headline up on Players Union irked, but will meet for a 7th straight day.
And here's my problem with it. Who do they think they are? They're the ones that locked the players out, decided not to do anything with negotiation till after Christmas and into late January, but they put the hard date on it. I should have known this was going to go off the rails when they said Hal Steinbrenner was doing most of this.
Yeah, I did see. I saw that on your show last night, and I'm just kind of skimming over the story here, very very quickly, getting Jeff Passan's cliff notes, so to speak. I mean, I know that you're siding with the players. There was a portion of me that was actually siding with the owners and the league for this, for letting the contracts get out of control and everything like this. And then in the last few days, I've really started to become a little bit more moderate. I'm still not leaning towards the players, because there's a part of me that cannot take baseball seriously with the way that their salary structure is. Is Francisco Lindor really going to be deserving of a $300+ million contract in the next 10 years, where, whatever team he's playing for, whether he's still with your Mets or somebody else, where he's still being paid $30 million a year to hit the Mendoza line, as is the case with most of these overblown,
none of them are worth
extended deals.
Yeah, none of them are worth the money. I'll tell you that right to your face. None of them are worth the money they're getting paid. But who are they say to turn it down? That's my problem.
Yeah, it's I mean, I can definitely, I agree with you. It's that, there's always been a part of me that, and baseball's always, they've had kind of the problem with this, but it's really only started to manifest itself in the last maybe 10, 15 years or so. It's
yeah.
And I always kind of hearken it back to, and you remember this when we were in college. Even though I'm bringing it back to hockey a little bit, I look at these deals and I think, oh my God, this is baseball's answer to the Rick DiPietro deal with the Islanders.
That was insanity.
That was the stupidest contract in the history of contracts, and baseball's trying to repeat it every year. DiPietro played 4 years on that $13 million on that 13-year deal.
Yeah. It all goes back to A-Rod.
Where's Jim Rome and the Jungle Clones ripping on him when we need him?
Getting a table flipped over on him and being called.
Shut up. Didn't even get it out. Didn't even get it out.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm really not. Well, I got to tell you, last night was cathartic for me. I honestly, those two words that I sent to you yesterday were almost out of my mouth while doing that. Because for anybody watching it, don't hold on.
John, shut up, buddy.
That's wonderful.
Scoreboard.
Yeah, exactly. The two words that I sent to you on Facebook yesterday almost came out of my mouth. So anybody who doesn't know, my shows are done in one take. I do not edit. If I have something I want to go over in different spots, I bullet point and I just go. Our stuff is never even bullet pointed. We just kind of go.
I mean, yeah, we've got highlights, but there's definitely no format.
No, and that I think you and I work better with the no format than anything else. Oh, so if you had a guess, when are we getting baseball?
You know, I was almost going to ask this in that segment that we were talking about doing. And I think maybe we could
prop
start
bet segment. We got time. We got time.
All right. It's kind of letting you guys in behind the glass a little bit. Where the way that this show kind of originated when Mike and I were back in college, it was you guys got the story that we call it the Wise Guy Show because we can't call it what we called it back in college. So we were going to be starting a new segment. Whether we do it now or we actually postpone it, we're going to be calling it Wise Assessments.
Do it now.
And so Mike and I are going to be posing a couple of questions to each other. We're going to kind of like how we did with the Super Bowl prop bets with Alex. And we're going to keep a running tab of this and kind of also going over the Super Bowl prop bets real quick. And this is not me self-glossing or whatever, but of the 10 that I still can't even believe from what I asked that we actually ended up with 10 with what you ended up asking afterwards. The final scores were, Mike, you finished with 2. I'm going to give you 2.5, and I'll tell you why in a second. Alex got 3, and I got 4. The national anthem was over under 104.5 seconds. We all took the over, so we all got a point with that because it was 110. We all took the Rams outright to win. So we all got a point for that. Mike, you get an extra half point because you were closest to the pin. If it wasn't for the botched extra point, you would have hit it on the head. Game was 23-20. Mike called 24-20. First score, I took LA, and both you and Alex took Cincinnati. Remember, it was the OBJ touchdown. So that one went to me. There was no F-bomb during the halftime.
Shocking, by the way.
What's that?
Shocking, by the way.
Very. But I'll also take your word on that because I actually ended up spending that time doing dishes instead of watching.
Oh, God, shut up.
The MVP, you and I took Donald. Alex took OBJ, went to Cooper Kupp. The MVP speech went to teammates, which Alex called because you and I actually said it was God.
Yep.
The dog commercials, you and Alex took the over. I took the under, and it was technically 6.5. And I think they said it was 6 or 5. So I technically won on the. I friggin' won on the dog commercials, because there was no dude or Jesus mentioned during the Michelob commercial because they weren't in it.
Yeah.
All 3 of us said Goodman, and then the Anheuser-Busch commercial. You actually didn't answer it because you were the one asking. I actually went with Bud Light. Alex went with the seltzer, and then it was that Bud Light Zero Carb Next that's coming out.
Yeah.
So the final scores were I had 4, Alex had 3, Mike had 2.5.
And I gotta say, the Guy Fieri commercial was pretty good.
Yes, it very much was. I mean, there were a couple of out there that were real stinkers. I thought the Doritos commercial with all the singing animals and everything that turned into whatever, I thought that was terrible.
You can't go wrong with a sloth, though.
I thought, it started out with such promise, and then the more it gained steam, the more it turned me off.
Yeah. The only other commercial that really bugged me was the QR code.
Yeah.
That was annoying.
Yeah,
I thought my TV broke.
What's that?
I thought my TV broke.
Yeah, it's although you know what? I actually thought it was actually there for trying to get people to scan it, but I also thought it had something to do with thinking maybe it was going to hit the corner perfectly, like on The Office, or like when you used to get the screensaver on the DVD player and everything. I thought that was actually going to be it. It was going to hit the corner, and then that was going to be the end of it. So everyone's watching, thinking, "Is it going to hit the corner? Is it going to hit the corner?" And it's not going to lie, I experimented with QR codes for a while. I almost thought about doing one for this show. But it's like,
I have one coming. My wife got a keychain made for me with a QR code on it that'll link you right to the podcast.
Nice. We did one for Adam's Cupcake business for a while, and then it's we actually found that it wasn't going anywhere because then most people were ordering off of Facebook than it was the website.
Yeah, and with me, it's when I'll have I'm having shirts made eventually, so I'm gonna need your address. And to be honest, she had this idea because she had gotten we got shirts made for Bobby's first birthday party, which comes up he'll be 11 months on the 11th, which is so yeah. The QR code sounds like fun. I'm gonna enjoy the hell out of it. It's on a keychain, so I'll be able to have people just scan it. So, what were your assessments for this episode, James?
I had these written down somewhere. I think I actually put them in the wrong file.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, I have so many legal pads. Okay, the two that I actually have is the strike over under 3 more weeks.
First of all, it's a lockout.
Stoppage, whatever we want to call it. The fact that we don't have baseball, do we have to wait 3 more weeks before we get something, even if it's spring training?
Over.
I took the over as well.
Breaks my heart.
By the time we do our next show, and we're probably going to have to do 2 next month as well because we got the draft.
Let's just keep doing 2 every month. It's just too much fun.
But what else comes up next month?
Ooh, the brackets. Do you want to know how much college basketball I watched this year? No, I watched the second half of the Duke-Ohio State game.
I've actually watched probably most CSU games this year. It's although I will say that they are struggling down the stretch. They had a chance to clinch the Horizon League regular season title today against Oakland, and kind of crapped the bed with it. So it's like they went from like 4 games up to I think now they're like in a mathematical tie, and they don't have any home games left. Before the Horizon,
they'll win the tournament.
Right now, what's funny is that I actually checked ESPN's bracketology, and they said even if they come out of that, they're going to be a 16 seed to like Kansas or somebody.
God.
More bids getting into the NCAA tournament: the Big Ten, the Big East, or the Big 12.
Big 12.
I'm going to go the Big Ten right now. And that pains me to say that. Although we know
one team that won't be there.
I don't know if you saw earlier today, Michigan State had a phenomenal upset of Purdue.
Against Purdue.
Yeah.
You know what? Change that. I'm going to say the Big Ten too. Because I forgot about Michigan State. I just know.
I think they could actually find a way to squeak themselves in. You can never count out a Coach Izzo team.
No, I agree with you. So we're up over an hour. So let's put a bow on this. And yeah, let's start doing 2 a month anyway. So Jim, you did tease one thing. We have the 3rd annual Big Rican mock draft coming up. And I will tell you, I'll send a note out to the boys, but I will tell you, Mr. James, that you will be covering the NFC West and one of the AFC divisions. And of course, my wallet with the note is in the you're doing, I think, the AFC South.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it, but I'll let you know for sure. Because I'm the host, I'm doing the AFC North. So I'll do, because I figured you following the Ravens and in Cleveland, I was like, you know what? I do the AFC North for everybody I do.
Yeah, but you also remember when they moved the franchise, I stayed true and got a lot.
I know.
Yeah, so I stayed with the lineage of the franchise for a while. So I was a Ravens fan.
No, I know. And I'll do the AFC North and the NFC East. Alex is going to do the NFC North, being a Bears fan, and I want to say he's got the maybe Alex has got the Willie's doing the AFC West,
which is up his wheelhouse. Yeah,
because he's a Raider fan. So everybody's got a division where they have their team, and then you got a division like I have the NFC East at request of my new coworker, who's a Washington guy. I'm going to call them the Commodores. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to go to do their pick, and Easy Like Sunday Morning is going to be playing on my phone. Well, did you see what I did for the baseball show that Willie, Alex, and I did?
I saw part of it, but I didn't see the whole thing.
I couldn't get it fast enough, but I was going to have Tina Turner's "We Don't Need Another Hero" playing when I talked about Max Scherzer. Because Citi Field, we are going to call the Thunderdome whenever Scherzer takes the bump. Because I got things wrong with me. So yeah, mark your calendars by March 19th, Saturday night. It will be a live event on the Big Rican YouTube and Facebook page. We will do a mock draft where we get through all 8 divisions, probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Because we'll not only do we make the pick, but we also discuss the pick and talk about what each team is going to need moving forward.
I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because I was almost going to tease, because with Detroit sitting at 2, I already think I know where they're going.
I do too.
And I don't think it's actually where a lot of people think.
I don't think they're going quarterback either.
Exactly.
No,
you have all that money invested in Jared Goff for at least the next 3 to 4 years.
They're going weapons.
And he's only 27.
And they got Penny Sewell in the draft last year as a joke.
They've been looking to replace a pass rusher since Sue left.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anybody in the outside of the kid from up north that'll probably go number 1 overall to. We're not doing another show for another 3 or 4 weeks here. I think Jacksonville goes O-line. Not at the top of the draft. There's no alignment to go to the top of the draft. They're going to trade the first pick then.
I could see that, because honestly, outside of Kenny Pickett, there's no quarterback. I mean, but then again, that's also why we're scheduling it on the 19th, because when again, to pull the curtain back a little bit, Mike actually wanted to schedule this on the 12th, but the combine was 3 days later. Yeah,
the combine's right after that. So the 19th is definite. We're going to do the Big Rican mock draft. What do you say you and I reconvene on the 12th and discuss the tournament that's upcoming? And then, you know what? I'm putting him on the spot. John, if you're still watching, which I hope you are, there will be a Big Rican baseball show in the month of March, and I'm extending an invitation for you to be on this one, sir. I told you next time I got you on, we were going to talk baseball. So if you hear this, great. If not, let me know. John is going to hold on. I like doing this. Yes. I like doing that. So John will be a guest on the Big Rican Baseball Show. Daniel Bryan. Wow. You're done with WWE.
Bryan Danielson. He's in AEW now. Get it right.
Whatever.
Hey, next week I get the pay-per-view. I'm happy.
Hold on. Let's say this. John will be on as long as his new little one has not arrived yet, or has already arrived and is home safely. And of course, John, our best to you and the wife on that. JC, what's coming up on the Blue Note?
I think probably sometime tonight or tomorrow we got a Tom Izzo piece coming. I actually haven't touched with some recent comments he made, and especially with that big upset win today. We got a couple of other things in the pipe. I kind of missed the boat on the and I know you can correct me here. Who was the guy that might have been the Nationals? They were talking like we're going to extend for like one of the
Juan Soto.
Okay, that was it. Why was I thinking Nelson Cruz? But it's like I'm a little out of touch with baseball right now because it's it's going into the stretch for basketball and hockey. So it's like baseball's the furthest thing from my mind, at least for probably the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I kind of missed the boat on that one. Once if we actually get a resolution here, and then contracts start opening back up, then I'll circle back on that. But I want to get the Izzo piece out there. Got a couple of other things in the NFL I wanted to look into. Kind of miss. Might have a couple of hockey things coming up, especially with the trade deadline coming up in a couple of weeks. Here's actually, I really want to be able to do a Calgary Flames piece in a little bit, provided that Matthew Tkachuk doesn't get into an altercation where somebody tries to eat him, like Brendan Lemieux did from the Kings a couple of weeks ago, where he bit him twice. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't know Mike Tyson was playing hockey.
Yeah, there's a famous Sportsnet in Canada. They have a regular named Steve Dangle, and he does this thing called Dang It's every week. And he's like, and it was hilarious when that happened last month or like late December. He says, biting people is one thing. You do it again, that's eating people.
That's great.
That video actually got demonetized when they showed it.
Wow.
So, because right now the Flames are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the Western Conference. I don't care what they say about Colorado, but I kind of want to get a piece on them because they actually haven't been this good since their Stanley Cup run in 2004, where they came up short against the Lightning right after the lockout.
Yep.
So we got a couple of other things in the pipe, but I definitely want to get something done this weekend. Maybe something on the Falcons with some of the turmoil that's going on with them. The Kyler Murray thing keeps picking up steam after I did that piece last week.
Yeah.
So it's and that's turning into a mess.
He should just go back and play center field for Oakland.
What's that?
He should just go back and play center field for Oakland.
Yeah. It's and then we got a huge UFC card coming up next weekend with one guy who's probably my favorite fighter to hate, and I hope he gets his head knocked off, and that's Colby Covington.
Well, as far as Big Rican goes, again, we're going to have a Big Rican baseball show next month because I'm sick and tired of not having one. Hopefully, John and Nikki will have had the little one, and we can have John on there. If not, I will get him on again. Of course, we'll have 2 episodes, actually 3 next month with you, because we'll do 2 of these, and then we'll do the mock draft. Also, I'm going to step out of bounds, and I'm going to get into why the women's national team should make more money than the men. It's been something I've thought of for a long time, but I'm going to do my research on this one, and I'm going to get into that. May not be a full show, but it will definitely be a segment. So as always, Big Rican can be found here on both YouTube and Facebook. On Twitter, I'm at Big Rican on Sport. We got at JC Blue Note 24, right?
Yes.
Okay. Google, Anchor, Breaker, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and as I've said for the last several months, just ask Alexa, play Big Rican. Jim, I will see you in a couple of weeks. We will get another Wise Guy show, and of course, we got a bunch of stuff going on in March. Happy end of February to you, my friend.
My best to you, and very quickly before we sign off here, just to kind of push it to a nice round 75 minutes. You wanted to bring up something with me that Mr. Pantsley sent you on Facebook?
Okay, yes. Yeah, it wasn't on Facebook. It was on Twitter. I retweeted it at you.
Well, I think he also put it up on Facebook too. But but
Did he?
everybody saw the tweet.
Okay, so this may have been. Do you think it was staged, or did she just take that bump like a champ?
And I think you brought this up because of the wrestling fan, correct?
Yes.
My brother would probably be a better judge of this, considering he used to wrestle for Cleveland All Pro for a little while. But it's I gotta commend him for actually taking the bump, although he didn't actually flop the arms out like you're supposed to do when you take a back bump like that. But yeah, took it like a champ. Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, Adam Cole, Orange Cassidy would have been proud. It took it like a champ.
Listen, I have to say, when he put on there, if you don't hear Jim Ross or get an EC dub chant going, I can be friends with him because I did that.
Yeah, it's and yet what's funny is that if I actually hear Jim Ross, I'm actually thinking of like now AEW with some of the crazy stuff that they're doing. I wasn't thinking, Mick Foley, Hell in a Cell with this. I wasn't actually thinking, you son of a bitch, he's broken in half. I was not hearing that. I was actually hearing his AEW commentary in my ear with Tony Schiavone and Excalibur with him.
Shivani's working stuff with JR. Oh,
yes. Wow. Yeah. It's and then they also have Mark Henry and Chris Jericho doing commentary on Fridays on Rampage. So, and Jericho's very good, although his mic's up way too loud. But it's you could think ECW, but if you think ECW, you're not thinking of an EC dub chant. You're actually thinking of one gentleman saying 3 words.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're going to get out of here.
The legend himself.
Exactly. Well, we're going to get out of here because it's almost bedtime. Jim, I'll see you in a few weeks. Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody.